Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is Kyle Richards opening up about her depression, quitting the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Mauricio dating, and Dorit spiral, and what is her ultimate agenda for losing her GD mind every single episode. So before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. It is a fun and free and easy way to support the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. So with that, let's go. So according to Reality Blurb, Kyle Richards is revealing what made her return to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after temporarily quitting production amid season 14. As she also offered an update on her status with her estranged husband, Mauricio Umansky, addressed her drama with Dorit Kemsley, and looked ahead to her future on the Bravo reality series. Kyle admitted to keeping certain things off the show, revealed what caused her to reach her breaking point during filming, and explained why she's slow to recommend friends for the show. Now, I wonder if she quit after the episode that we're gonna see this week. It's like the one that's being teased where all of the girls are at like a spa day. I think Bozema puts it on, and she has that sort of temper tantrum with Dorit where she's like, "This is the text messages. This is all I said. How old are we? I can't believe we're doing this. We all should be ashamed of ourselves. What else do you want?" And she like storms off. I wonder if like that is when she quits the show for like a week. Who knows? But I also want to ask you guys, like, do you think maybe it is time for Kyle to maybe take a pause, take a beat? She's been on since day one, but maybe there's too much going on, her separation from Mauricio, the cheating allegations, the Morgan Wade stuff, whether that's a real or fake. Also, losing her best friend to mental illness. So, there's a lot going on there. And I don't know. She's having a really tough season. She's not getting the best edit. She's being called out for being a pseudo producer. She's being called out for not being honest and authentic. She's being called out for kind of having temper tantrums. Maybe it is time for her to take a pause, or do you think, no, the show really needs her? She has to come back. Okay, so let's see what else she says. I just didn't have it in me and I just didn't have it in me anymore. I was at a point where I was so depressed, Kyle shared during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. I'm not someone who gets depressed. I've had anxiety my entire life, but never depression. I really felt like I was struggling with depression, and I expressed that. And I just felt like I could not go into scenarios all the time and just have everyone coming at me. Well, this is the thing. I'm not going to make fun or make light of her having anxiety, because we've seen her have this multiple times where she gets up, she kind of spirals, she gets a frog in her throat, she just has a temper tantrum. We get it. So I'm not going to make light of that, any type of mental health issue or problem that she's going through, if it's anxiety or depression. But anxiety and depression are pretty much, two different sides of the same coin. So she's saying she doesn't have anxiety, but anxiety and depression usually go hand in hand. Depression is like worrying about the past, anxiety is worrying about the future, or, that is a very simple way of putting it, but you know what I mean. So I do applaud her for being honest about, being depressed and not being in a good place. And is this actually a healthy environment for her to be in, especially with like, I don't care what anybody says. I am not here for Dorit. I'm not here for Dorit smoking and cursing and yelling and screaming and going after Kyle and taking her. Like, that's just a bunch of crap to me. To me, Dorit is nothing but a fraud. She's a sham. She's jealous. She's whack. She's broke. I'm not here for Dorit any way, shape, or form. I've never been a big Kyle fan either. I'm not like a Kyle stan, but I like Kyle more than I like Dorit. I just got to be honest with it. That's just how I feel, though. That's just my opinion. However you feel, obviously, is fine as well. But that's just my opinion on it. So I get where Kyle is coming from. Also, I think that's a big reason why she stopped drinking, because her best friend Lorene, unfortunately, passed away due to her mental illness, and it seems as though perhaps Lorene had been drinking or under the influence of something or a lot of things. And maybe if she had a clearer mind, that wouldn't have, she would still be with us, is kind of what Kyle was saying. And she was saying how she was struggling with that as well. So I think it's actually really great that Kyle is talking about her mental health struggles. Is this the right environment for her? And also not just talking about it, but taking action, taking the time away to go off of the show and to take care of herself and realize that that's more important. Because sometimes we see on these shows, these women and men, depending on the show, are drinking, doing drugs, being depressed, having anxiety, fighting, just collapsing, doing the most, but they're so addicted to the paycheck, they're so addicted to that 15 minutes of fame that they're willing to do anything to stay on the show. So I think it's good that Kyle is actually like talking about this and then taking that time off. As much as I love to, clown on Kyle for having her temper tantrums, with that being said, I do want to be respectful of, what people are going through in their own mental and emotional space. Okay. So then it goes on to say, people I thought were my friends, all of a sudden it felt like they weren't. I just felt like it was too much with what was going on in my life. And I thought, why would I subject myself to this? I don't know why I'm continuing to do this. She continued. It was absolutely the closest I'd ever gotten to not coming back to the show. According to Kyle, her castmates knew she was in a very fragile place, but gave her no grace, which was hard. Luckily, as she walked away from filming for about a week, Kyle received support from Bravo and her production team. I took that time until I felt strong again and gathered my thoughts on what I wanted to do, she explained. As for why she ultimately returned, Kyle wanted to be busy and occupied after Mauricio moved out and wasn't ready to lose her crew family. That said, not everyone was thrilled about her time off. There were some people who said that they were going to hold me accountable for walking out, she revealed. While Kyle described herself as an open book, she confessed that certain things were off limits to the cameras. Sometimes you have to consider other people, whether it's my children or whoever. My kids will say they don't want me to talk about this or that, and that I have to respect that, she noted. Now, this is the thing about this, Kyle. A couple of things. I think a big problem that people have with Kyle is that she thinks that her friends holding her accountable is them being hard on her, which isn't true. People can support you and still hold you accountable. Just because, people are like, well, wait a minute, what's really going on? You said this or you did this or this is going on doesn't mean that they're necessarily being hard on you, but I do think people should be allowed grace and people should be given passes. And I do agree that certain things are sacred and you still should be allowed to have a certain level of privacy, even if you're on a reality TV show. However, with that being said, the problem with Kyle is she's clearly coded talking about Morgan. Oh, my kid's this, but she really means Morgan, off limits. I don't want to talk about things, can talk about this or that. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't bring Morgan on the show last season, have her in multiple episodes, talk about her all the time, call the paparazzi on yourself, be in sexual musical videos with her, and then all of a sudden be like, I want my privacy. How dare you speculate? I'm not even going to say her name on camera. Girl, bye. And then accuse other people of, being hard on you or coming at you for talking about what you've put out in the media for the last couple of years. So that's where Kyle loses the argument, because you can have things that are private and sacred. You can have boundaries, but you also can't, play in people's faces and do whatever you want and then play victim when people are just being like normal asking questions. So that's where Kyle loses what would normally be like, yeah, it's okay. You can have privacy still. Like, that's still fine. Okay. Okay, so as she and Mauricio continue to navigate their separation, Kyle confirmed that the two of them have remained both friends and family. I think we're both just kind of nervous and afraid of this next chapter, she shared, seemingly in a nod to a potential divorce. Although Kyle has expressed that she's not ready to date quite yet, she has seen the mini headlines regarding Mauricio and his love interest. People assume that I get really angry with him. Of course, I have reactions to certain things, but I've never expressed this to people, so these headlines are annoying to see, she noted. Obviously, it's strange to see his personal life played out all the time, photos of him walking down the street with other women, but while it may be strange, we're not together like that. On a recent episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle and her texting relationship with Paul PK Kimsley has been at the forefront of her drama with Dorit, but as Kyle explained, she wasn't too surprised by her former friend's antics. I knew she'd be coming into the season hot. I already knew she'd be coming for me. I had to keep telling myself that, but it was just got too draining, Kyle shared. I just felt like we already made up so many times and she kept coming up with things again and again. PK and I have always had this brother-sister type of situation. She's always talked about that. She loved it and laughed about it. I agree with Kyle on this one. I do think that Dorit was doing the absolute most. I think I'll give Dorit a pass for like the first. I'll even give her the first 2 episodes, but I really would say the first episode. Fine, you had your moment, but it's enough at this point. Like your whole shtick is just going off the deep end and yelling and screaming at Kyle. Enough is enough. It's boring at this point. Like, and next, please. So I do agree with Kyle on that part. Kyle and PK, I don't think anybody with half a brain cell really thinks that Kyle and PK are doing anything sexually inappropriate. Like, come on. Like, I would believe Kyle and Morgan before I believe Kyle and PK. And I don't believe Kyle and Morgan. I think Kyle and PK are just feeling like the whole world is thinking our spouses are having an affair. Let's compare notes. You know what I mean? He's separating allegedly from Dorit. Kyle and Dorit are beefing. I get it. I think when Dorit was smelling Mauricio and hugging him and kissing him and being flirtatious with him and all of that happened, I think Dorit kind of lost any, access to quote girl code she had. You kind of gave that up. Like, you're smelling my husband, you're kissing my husband, you're hugging him, you're flirting with him. It's on camera. The whole world has seen it. Like, don't talk to me about sending a text or a meme. Like, bye-bye, sweetheart. I think is kind of what Kyle is feeling. You know what I mean? Okay. So, yeah, you guys, that's kind of where I land with all of this. So, what do you guys think about Kyle opening up about being depressed and her taking time off to focus on her mental health and feeling very badgered by Dorit? What do you guys think about, Mauricio and the dating and Kyle kind of having double standards? And what do you think about Dorit making her entire personality going against Kyle? And what do you think is the future of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or the Bravo franchise in general? I kind of feel like the whole franchise has kind of been dying for the last couple of years now. A lot of it has been put on pause. A lot of franchises have been kind of, saved by these crazy, horrendous scandals, and then one housewife or two housewives going super dark and evil, like Potomac or the OC with Tamara and Shannon. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that there's a fatigue of all of the darkness and all of the fighting, but then it's also kind of like, but what else is there? So I don't know. So let me know what you guys think. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, I will see ya. Bye.